only religiously, but also spiritedly. Because the drafters of the Constitution, in their wisdom, knew why they enshrined that article to protect the freedom and the independence of the media. In the apex of the law, which is the 2010 Kenyan Constitution, it was promulgated in 2010, so it's referred to as the 2010 Kenyan Constitution. So I think if we are doing away with TikTok, then we don't have an excuse for not doing away with Twitter, or rather the X, now it's called X, or Facebook, or any other social media platform. So I think the most important thing about TikTok is to regulate. I think we need to regulate the content, because any other person can get to TikTok, including our children, because it is a social media platform, but we'd also want to bring them up in an enabling environment, in a conducive environment. So generally, we will support the fact that there should be regulatory mechanisms, but it should not be banned. Okay. Because the main reason why TikTok was created, like some of the other social media platforms, number one is for marketing purposes. Number two is for fun, for entertainment. And nowadays you see people are also earning through social media. There are no jobs, so it can be a platform that is creating jobs to Kenyans and other people across the globe. So I think banning TikTok will do an injustice to Kenyans. And when Zheng Yiming, the person who discovered TikTok, came with TikTok, in his wisdom or lack of the same, he knew that it was going to promote the coexistence of people or persons across the world. I rest my case.
Thanks so much, Mheshimiwa. Maybe, Mheshimiwa Masaki, when you are talking of issues to do with regulations or some measures to be put to regulate this platform, as somebody, as a user who has been on this platform for some times now, so that we make this space a better space for our young siblings, our kids, and yeah.
I fully agree with what Honorable Babu is saying, that TikTok is just like any other platform. You have YouTube, you have Facebook, and all these have coexistence here. But what we need to focus on, and that's what we have pressurized or put pressure to the president, is to have regulations. That we don't need to ban the entire TikTok just because of few elements that can be regulated through the floor of the House. So it is not something that we are pushing for it to be banned. And that's why I think recently the president had a Zoom call with the CEO of TikTok, and those are some of the things that I think were highlighted in terms of us having a physical office, which is going to be the first office in Kenya, in Africa. And with that gives a clear indication that there is not going to be banned. TikTok will not be banned in Kenya. Why will they allow it to have an official office in Kenya and have it banned? It doesn't serve the purpose. So we just need to create mechanism of regulations that will ensure that kids are not exposed to the content that are going to maybe destroy their lives. So those are some of the things that we need to capture it in those regulations. And I think Mheshimiwa knows very well, it can just be under an amendment of, it can be a policy regulation that can come into the floor of the House and can be effected. But I fully agree with many people earning a livelihood through TikTok. They're doing business through TikTok. It's a form of entertainment to us, and we're all here. expressing ourselves through the same platform. So let's support those regulations and allow people to continue with their lives, not limiting their livelihood by banning it. Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, my question was, being somebody who has used this platform for some good time, you've seen some negative things which you as a person don't like, and at the same time, you've seen some positive things. So my question was, what are some of the regulation you would put, you would table in the parliament that now this content doesn't need to be regulated? What are some areas of concern to you that needs to be regulated?
Of course, the concerns that have been there is the kind of exposure that is there, especially the videos that are there and people exploiting it and explicit videos. If that can be captured in the policy regulation that this is only for adults, that TikTok is not for kids, that is one of the regulation, 18 plus, the way we have it in YouTube, that anyone who is going to open an account in TikTok should be above 18 plus, because I don't think that is a regulation today. Today, anyone can use any person's Gmail and account and open a kid can open a TikTok account and they're exposed to this content. That can be factored in. We don't have enough regulations in TikTok, especially on how it's going to tame the exposure of kids. And that is why it is balanced in terms of there are people who feel like they need to support it. There are people who feel that they don't support it because of the content of what is there. So I think it is something that also has to be captured with public participation. People have to give their views about what they feel needs to be captured and what needs not to be captured. Then we can see how it can be processed through the platform.
What needs not to be captured, then we can see how it can be processed through the platform. Somebody just called me, so I think there's
There's an echo, Mheshimiwa. It's like somebody has called you. Babu, maybe you can go to WhatsApp, then come back. Check your WhatsApp, then just come back. The echo will disappear.
So I'll come back. Check your WhatsApp, then just come back. Add Sakaja, I see some people are saying that Sakaja, I think, is online.
Babu, you have got echo. Maybe go to WhatsApp, then come back. Mute, then you go to WhatsApp, then you come back. Guys, please stop calling Mheshimiwa. Please stop calling. Stop calling. In the meantime, continue tapping your screens and sharing. Are you good?
I think I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah, okay, thanks so much. Maybe the same question to you, Mheshimiwa. Yes?
Add Sakaja. I can see comments. Somebody's commenting you add Sakaja.
Okay. Madam President, is Governor Sakaja the guest? Nyako, maybe you can confirm. So in the meantime, Mheshimiwa Babu, the same question to you. What are some of the areas of regulation that you would really put forward in Parliament to make this platform a conducive place for everyone, to our kids, teenagers, and all that?
I think basically TikTok is an open space, and the most important thing is just to, you see, if you go to other platforms like Facebook and even X now, which was formerly Twitter, you can see that there are certain content that's not allowed to be posted, or rather there are people, if they complain about that content, somebody can be banned from it. So I see that because TikTok is an open space where people can just post anything, including nude photos that I've seen severally on TikTok. So for the adults, this might be okay, but not so much okay, because it depends on your orientation, because not everybody wants to just open the platform on TikTok and meet nude photos and different contents. So I think basically it's just a general rule for regulating, considering different people from different forums, considering children, considering religious groups, considering other people who have different beliefs. So I think it's something which the moment in law we studied something about law and morality, and we are saying that what is moral to you is not necessarily moral to somebody else. To a person smoking cigarettes can be good to that person, but to another person maybe.
Oh,
Roaring at one of their own.
Mheshimiwa, that is just one of the lions from Masai
Roaring
Mara.
at one of their own. It's okay.
No, my next, if His Excellency the Governor is around, Nyako, you can bring him up. My next question, Mheshimiwa, the two Mheshimiwa we have in the house is recently we had there are plans to introduce social media tax, and now content creators on this platform from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and all that. There's a portion that the government needs. What's your take on this? If I start with Mheshimiwa Masaki, and do you think it's something good enough for government to introduce taxes to on this social media? Mheshimiwa Masaki.
I think the proposed from the proposed finance bill, I think initially it was 15% that was proposed for the content creators, and it was reduced to 5%. Even with that, I don't want to call it out. We had a lot of disagreements with that issue of content creators being taxed. But as much as we have different views on it, it was proper for it to be not entirely given small taxation, because we know a lot of content creators make a lot of money out of this social media platform, and that's why it was proposed that let it be given a smaller percentage of taxation, because many of them are making a lot of money. People are making up to $1 million, $2 million out of it, and it's not taxed. So those proposals were there. They were a little bit high, but it was reduced, and eventually we are still engaging. We are still pushing that we want it to be reduced to a lower level than what we have today.
Okay, Mheshimiwa Babu.
Can I say something?
I think Nyako, you should add Sakaja.
Sakaja is not here.
Why are people saying add him? Then maybe
Wanandika too. He's not here. Can I kindly say something?
Yes.
Before we rush to the taxation of TikTok, I as the representative or the top earning Kenyan TikToker, I want to work closely with the government to take control of what goes on TikTok. And I just want them to make a law that can put this platform in order. Because people are so reckless on this platform. There are things that are being done on TikTok that are beyond repair. And I think if a law is passed, or just a group of responsible parliamentarians come together with the CEO of TikTok, now that we have an office in Nairobi, I will be maybe part of the meeting on what should be imposed on TikTokers, what is expected of us and what is not expected of us, just to make sure that this platform performs positively to the expectation of everybody. before we rush to taxing it, we must make it safe and we must make it free of cyberbullying. There's a lot of cyberbullying on TikTok. TikTok is such a positive platform when taken seriously, can elevate a community, can elevate a country. And this is the only modern way of communication where in the next few years, politicians will be here asking for their votes because the world has turned modern and there is no any other way of communication. TikTok is the only way. So my cry to the government of Ruto, Honorable Masaki, I want to see a TikTok where there is no bullying. I want to see a TikTok where everybody's free to air their views. I want to see a TikTok where there is only social communication and people from the US and Kenya and the Gulf and Europe can come together and make a positive difference in the common mwananchi's life. What is going on TikTok right now is mind-boggling. There's a lot of bullying here. I want the government to take care of that. That is my plea.
Thank you.
Now, to respond on your question, Auka,
Yes.
Nyako has really talked with a lot of wisdom and courage and boldness, because TikTok is a platform that should be used for the right purpose.
Yeah.
It is not entertainment, and the right entertainment that we need. Because if you want to entertain ourselves privately, we know how to do it.
Yes.
Without exposing ourselves. If it is for marketing, then let it also be for marketing. So back to the issue of the government taxing content creators. I would refer to this as balderdash. Nonsensical. It's causing a lot of consternation, discomposure, and discomfiture of spirits. Causing a lot of discombobulation of spirits. This is very cantankerous, belligerent. So, Honorable Masaki, the government taxing content creators, the same content creators who are hustlers, the same content creators are content creators who the government
You guys are scaring Chimeo.
the same content creators who are hustlers, whom we promised the bottom-up economic model while we were advocating for the trickle-down economic model. The same content creators are taking money away from them. The same government is taking away from the content creators whom they believed that they would change their lives, who have no jobs, whose only option is to go on social media and hustle for a living, hustle for school fees, hustle for food, hustle for rent. And I would like to say that in commercial law, we say that you can never pickpocket a naked man. Nemo that quod non habet rule. Masaki, unanielewa vizuri? As I defense village girls.
No, just finish. Just finish. I'll have my rebuttal. Just finish.
So the government should not tax these people who are coming from very poor backgrounds. In Kiswahili we say wanatoka kwenye familia kinayaye, familia oehahe, hawana mbele wala nyuma, hawana pesa. And the government has decided to tax them. And even if they are doing it on a quantum basis, it is not still allowed. And that is hurting common mwananchi. Because TikTok can also act, or any other social media platform, is also a stress reliever So many people could have committed suicide by now because of depression. But when
Yes.
they get TikTok, they see Nyako becomes a source of hope to them. They live for another
Yes.
day. They live to die another day. So they postpone the death. So the same content
Yes,
creators,
yes.
the people of Kenya, we always say that they don't have money. People are so poor that a
Yes.
person may want to die. A
Yeah.
person may really long to die, but that person has no money to even buy a rope to hang himself.
Yes.
Came from the bottom to go up. We didn't know that bottom up could mean that you get money from the bottom, take it to those who are at the top, to pilfer it, to misappropriate it, to defraud it, to steal it. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Masaki, a rebuttal or a rejoinder?
I think what we said and what we proposed, and when the proposal was presented to us of 35%, we were among the first people who came out and say that as much as we are pushing for us to raise taxes, and we do not, and you know very well, Mheshimiwa Babu, that we need taxes in the running of the government. You know that very well. CDF depends on these taxes. Construction, all these works, infrastructural works, depends on these taxes. We cannot run down the government. But as much as these proposals were there in the finance bill, we said that this looks very high for even those who are doing business. As much as we want to tax them, let us reduce it. Let us reduce it to a reasonable percentage that we have a contribution to make in the performance of the government. But we cannot entirely say that you let the government, the performance of the government just to stall because we don't want to pay taxes. And we said we had a proposal of 3.5%. It was pushed to 5%. So I don't want us to have a scenario whereby we are not supporting the government initiative. Today, you know very well, Mheshimiwa Babu, that we had an issue with the payment of salaries of the civil servant. And this is because now the government didn't have money. This was necessitated with what we found in the coffers. We found a dilapidated economy that was run down. Okay? You know that very well. You know the government did not have money. The handshake government had pilfered the coffers that we had. We had to actually go back and try to raise taxes that is not being able to, for the government to perform its function. If today, Babu, you're the president and you get into a position of power as a president, you will need taxes to run the government. And that is a fact. So there are facts and there are fiction. That is a fact. If we do not raise taxes for us as a country, then it is going to be very hard for us to run this government. Then it will just be stories and stories and stories and promises that are not be able to achieve. So let us support mechanisms that are reasonable. We cannot come here and say the government now tax that 5%, 50% of what they're making. That is unreasonable. But at least something small that can be taxed from what they're making, it's a contribution to what the government wants for the performance of the government.
Well,
May I, if I may, I would really like to.
Can I say something on that? To add something.
Panisha, you can add something, then Mheshimiwa will go on. Yes, Panisha.
I'm saying on the matters of taxation, you know that TikTok already takes a very high percentage from the gifts given to the content creators.
Yes.
Adding taxation, this is going to stretch the content creators and well-being. So the money they get, it's from gifting. They are not paid directly by TikTok.
Yes.
Has the parliament tabled this out? Are they into consideration that it will affect the creators? If I may repeat, I'm saying that TikTok already has a very high percentage from the gifts given to the content creators. Adding taxation, this will stretch the content creators and their well-being. The money they get is from gifting. They are not paid directly by TikTok. As the parliament tabled this out, are they into consideration that it will affect the creators?
Yeah. That's a good question, Panisha. Mheshimiwa Babu.
Yes. And Nyako, I really would like to talk to Honorable Masaki on matters economics. Now that he's pushed me to economics and how to run a country, and don't look at things at face value. Don't look at things on a prima facie basis, on face value. The laws of economics are so clear that, number one, a country that increases taxes for her citizens will never collect more money. Increment in taxes, the increment in taxes is inversely proportional to the income that shall be collected by a nation. How does this happen? Number one, if you increase tax in fuel, like petrol, then you basically will end up increasing values or prices of anything that is capable of being transported, including fertilizers. If you take a fertilizer to the farm and the fuel was high, the cost of transport will go up. If the cost of transport goes up, the cost of fertilizer will go up. Why? Because the person transporting, paying for this fertilizer to be transported, is using high amount of transport cost. So the person will have to get this money back from the value of the farm produce that is produced, that is farmed, that is produced. So if the cost any good and service that is capable of being transported will go high. If it goes high, the demand for that good will reduce. Are we together, Masaki? The demand reduces.
Point of order, Mheshimiwa.
Okay, what is out of order?
I think we had an issue with the 16% VAT on fuel, but 16% VAT on fuel was still there even before
but you see
this government in place, right? It was still there, Mheshimiwa. Can we agree on that? Was it?
Let me tell you something. But yes, the fuel levy was increased. If you know that, if you have the information,
yes,
it was increased. So I'm explaining to you the effect, whether it was there or not. I'm going deep down this so that you may understand that increasing taxes will not increase the income, will not increase the revenue that the government wants. Instead, it will reduce. Why? Because an increment in tax automatically leads to low demand. If there's low demand, there will be low supply. If there's low supply, if there will be low supply, then the macroeconomic equilibrium will never be achieved in our nation. So to break it further, just to break it in layman's language, if the cost of production goes high, which means that any farm produce produced, the cost will also go high. Therefore, people will start looking for alternatives. Kenya consumes 80% of imported goods, including toothpick, tissue papers, eggs. Now, if you increase the value for these goods and services that are available, you are killing the demand for that good. Instead, what should the government do, Honorable Masaki? The government should cure or treat what we call absorption. When there was absorption in Mexico, the government of Mexico do. When Americans went to invest in Mexico, they opened companies in Mexico, and this money that was being obtained in Mexico was leaking into the American economy and was not benefiting Mexico. So Mexico could not pay their debts, and the economy was assaulted. It went into depression. So what did the government do? The government cured what we call absorption. So what did they do? They increased taxes for multinational companies. If you increase taxes for multinational companies, the money that is leaving the country is taxed more so that you get that money inside the country. For example, Kenya, we have Absa Bank. Absa Bank, the mother bank is in South Africa. The other day, Absa Bank registered around 40 billion profit quarterly. For a whole year, they may register around 200 billion. Then the government decided to reduce their tax from 35% to 30%. So we lost 5% of the tax. So 5% of 200 billion is 10 billion. So instead of the government fighting to increase this tax, we lost 10 billion as a result. We will lose 10 billion as a result. Then that 10 billion, we want to get it from the common mwananchi, which does not make sense. So the government should overtax multinational companies. But any other company within the country and the consumption rate within the country, taxes should be lowered so that we increase production. When we increase production and we increase manufacturing, a process called mercantilism in economics, where we don't export our raw materials, we retain our raw materials in Kenya, then we invest in what we call manufacturing, and that will provide jobs for our people. The best way to grow an economy, Mr. Masaki, is not to increase taxes, but to increase money. Money should flow from the government into the pockets of the people. Create environments where people can do businesses. Create jobs for people. Once people have money in their pockets, they will increase the spending frenzy. Ukienda kwa shopkeeper kununua unga, that shopkeeper, when so many people go to one shopkeeper to buy unga, that shopkeeper will employ other shopkeepers. That is creating jobs. Then that shopkeeper will also say that because the demand is high, let me go to one industry to buy more unga so that I can sell to people. Then the industry will say that as they manufacture, they will lack laborers because the demand is high. They will employ more people, creating more jobs. Then the manufacturer will also run back to the farmer and tell the farmer, you need to grow more maize because we need more raw materials because the demand is high. So when an aggregate demand is increased, an aggregate supply will increase contemporaneously, and we achieve what I had called earlier macroeconomic equilibrium. At that point, the country grows. But if we reason like a layman, that if you increase taxes, then you will get more money for the government, that is wrong. You will get less money because you are killing the money.
Mheshimiwa, I think the issue of the 35%, we increased 35% was added to the list of goods that are being imported to the country, right? That include furnitures. That this 35% will be able to, people will see this as a lot of taxes for imported goods. And will support our local manufacturers. That includes our carpenters, the local manufacturers who are doing furnitures, who are doing this small business. So if we increase the higher taxation, this thing of taxation has been blown out of proportion. In what terms? We are not looking at the other side, whereby we are reducing the number of people who are going to bring goods from outside and supporting our local manufacturers. That is one of them. Okay? We have reduced the issue of subsidy. We have done away with the subsidy of unsustainable that was there. If we support
point of information,
subsidy, if
on the subsidy, the government has decided to bring back the subsidy. So what they were talking about is hot air, because they are now bringing back subsidies.
The subsidy that the government is talking about, Mheshimiwa, is on fuel, okay? Because that is the same case that was challenged, that if we are able to have subsidy on fuel, then the cost of taxes that are on the commodities will go low, okay? So that's why they decided to bring back the subsidy on fuel. But on the subsidy of fertilizer, they decided that if we can focus on only subsidy of the production, not consumption. That's what the government decided to focus on. That we deal with the production. That for high cost of living, if we have enough food as a country today, as a country, we have enough food, that means the cost of living will be at least 50% will be sorted if we have enough food. But currently we don't have food. That's why the government decided to support our farmers with the subsidy of fertilizer from 7,500 to 2,500. And that's why in the coming, in maybe a month or so, we are going to have less prices on unga. It is going down. And Mheshimiwa, that's a fact.
Masaki, are you aware that the government did not purchase fertilizers that they claim that they purchased? So it is not reducing the price to anything because the Russian government sent fertilizer for free to the Kenyan government. So why would you charge people 2,500 and claim that you've reduced it from 7,000 to 2,500? That is conmanship. So if you have proper information, the Russian government wrote to the Kenyan government and said, we gave you fertilizer for free. And they said that they bought fertilizer. So let us know.
How much are we talking about here in terms of metric tons? We're talking about a donation and we're talking about what has been consumed by our farmers today.
There were millions of metric tons that were donated for free, that the government made a statement on the fertilizer that was brought to us for free, saying that they have subsidized and they have reduced the amount from 7,000 to 2,500. This fertilizer was supposed to be given to farmers for free. That is a fact, not a factoid. It is not just a mere statement of path.
What I'm privy to the information is we are talking about over 4 million metric tons that have already been issued to our farmers today. And that's why we have higher yield of production of maize and crops that are already the cash crop that we have today. But when you're talking about a donation less than 1 million metric tons.
No, Masaki, do not spread rumors.
No.
That's a rumor mill. No.
Because what you're talking about, Mheshimiwa, is has not been tabled anywhere. Has not been tabled anywhere. If Mheshimiwa, you can bring for us the facts. I don't want us to propagate lies. Bring us
you are the one in the government and you are lying. So
no. I'm saying give us a fact-finding document giving that the Russian government gave the Kenyan government these millions of tons, metric tons of fertilizer that was for donations. Okay.
Number one,
we're talking about 4 million.
Are you aware that the Russian government gave Kenyan government fertilizers for free? Are you aware? Is it a fact or it's a lie?
That is a donation.
But are you aware?
Not even a million. It is not a million. I agree. I agree. There was a donation, but
of millions and millions of tons.
I will only disagree with the number. If you provide to me the number, I'm okay with that.
Gentlemen, I think this is a conversation which cannot end right now.
Yeah, so I think just to wind up on the issue of cost of living, I think for us to be able to achieve the optimum, for us to be able to reduce the cost of living, is to first to be able to deal with the issue of food.
You are stealing 1 shilling from this side and putting it in the left pocket. So it will still be maintained. It will not easily come down. Why? Because of the high taxation. The moment the tax is high, it affects production. The cost will automatically go up. Therefore, the cost of living will not easily go down.
Thanks so much, Mheshimiwa.
Just before you wind up that topic, Mheshimiwa, the issue of bipartisan talks. You have not talked about it. Do you think it is going to bring fruition? Does it going to end the chaos that we have? Do you support it, the bipartisan talks?
Let me tell you something, Honorable Masaki. No matter how rich a country is, no matter how rich you are as an individual, no matter how rich I am or any other Kenyan, you can never prosper in an environment that is violent. You need a conducive environment. The first qualification for an economy to grow is peace. You need an environment where children can go to school, an environment where people can go for their jobs, an environment where people can go and do business. That is when you grow an economy. But if you get a violent environment, an environment that is not user-friendly, then how will even a farmer go to the farm to farm? How will fertilizers be transported to Rift Valley or Central or even Nyanza, for example? If there's violence everywhere, how will farmers farm? That should cure the question that you've asked. So you need it more than I need it, because you are the one in government who needs that environment to grow an economy. So you need to talk. And the Bible says, by the way, the Bible says...
So the talk is not about handshake.
God tells people... that is a myopic way of looking at it. Okay? That is being short-sighted. And even if it were a handshake, that handshake should bring a conducive atmosphere for you to work in your government. And the Bible says, God says, come ye my people, come let us sit down, let us reason together. If God is saying, let us sit and reason together, who the hell is this government not to sit down and reason together?
But we only have a problem. We can only agree on one thing, but that I think on our side, we have tried very well to have the young people were sent to be part and parcel of that talk. But we have to challenge our competitors to include young people in the talks.
That I agree with you 100%.
Babu, we know you should have been part, or any other young person would have been part and parcel of that bipartisan talks. This issue of us conversing around old people, deciding on our future as young people, it has to stop. And it's a challenge to our competitors that this is not the first time. This is almost the third, fourth time that young people are being left from the table. And this issue was raised before. I think we had many proposed young people would have sat in that from the other side, but it is not our take to talk on behalf of our competitors. It is upon you to mobilize fellow young people, including the young parliamentarians, that the talks, as it goes on, let the voice of young people from our competitors, not the government. The government has factored young people in the talks, but our competitors to factor them in the talks. So
I agree with you 100% on this. We know very well what the power of the youth can do in this nation. This nation comprises of over 70% who are youth. Youth should never be neglected. And I always tell the youth that if you are not on the menu, then you are on the table. But if you are on the menu, you will be eaten. If you are on the table, you will eat. So as a youth, you must fight to be on the table. And if you are not on the table, break that table.
So gentlemen, this brings me to this question. Mheshimiwa Babu, while I was in the university, for your information, I've worked, when Babu was the president, I was part of his secretariat at the University of Nairobi. And is one of the people I admire a lot when it comes to leadership. Mheshimiwa, how does it feel to hold such a high office, just fresh from the University of Nairobi Parliament? How does it feel, and what is it that you can tell some other young, youthful people outside there who have got that pursuit of becoming leaders in the future? How does it feel, and what would you advise?
This is a position of servant leadership. And the Bible says that he who among you who wants to be the greatest must first of all agree to be the least among you. Whoever wants to serve you, whoever wants to lead you must first of all agree to be your servant. So this position is about leadership. You must provide leadership, because I know what it is to lack school fee, because I lacked at some point. I know what it is to sleep in a police cell, because I slept in a police cell severally. I know what it is to go without fees, because I lacked at some point. Therefore, the position that I have as a member of parliament is not a position that I should walk around celebrating, being, I always use the word vela, being egocentric about it, that I've achieved it. No, this is a position that I was elected to serve, a position that I should use to transform the lives for the better, a position that should enable me work for the people to remove them from one echelon of life to the next, a position that will make a mama mboga graduate from selling mboga in a kibanda to opening a supermarket, a position that will make a boda boda rider stop riding a boda boda and buy a bus, graduating from one level of life to the other. Therefore, to me, this position is about being a servant. It's about changing lives, and changing lives for the better. And that is where I agree with Honorable Masaki, because he's a youthful leader that also serves Kenyans across the nation by providing relevant services to them. We only disagree when it comes to our political ideologies, where there is Kenya Kwanza and there is Azimio. But all these must have their supporters, all these political parties. But generally, this position is a position that anybody can occupy it. Today, I'm a member of parliament. Tomorrow, another person will occupy the position. Or tomorrow, I will hold a different position altogether. But the ultimate goal of a leader, the ultimate goal of any of these positions is to serve, is to ensure that I provide services that I promised people, going beyond even Embakasi East Republic, to serve people across the nation and to ensure that their lives are transformed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I fully agree. I fully agree with Mheshimiwa Babu that apart from our differences in affiliations, we have our common goal of the issue of the young people. That when it comes to the issue of young people, we are putting aside our differences, our political inclinations, and put the interest of young people ahead of us, so that when the future will be, when we will address when it is time for us in the future to look for these votes, because we all have our political ambitions, we will be judged by our performance. We will be judged by our performance. And that's why I advocate that Mheshimiwa, as the Secretary General of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians, when you get these motions that advocate for young interests of the young people, the issue of help, the issue of, we had pushed this issue of help as that if we can push help to become a grant, not as a loan, then many young people are going to benefit. Those are some of the things that we are trying to push. So it is not that us sitting in the side of the government, then we have to be yes men. We are people who are reasonable, and we have to think about the future of young people. We have to advocate for those interests about young people. The issue that we can agree, we will agree. The issue that we disagree, then we will seek guidance on how we can be able to explore them so that we can be able to agree on them. But as the future, as we are advocating for this interest, let's continue to work together, and let also be welcoming.
Masaki, you're mute.
Somebody muted Masaki.
Mheshimiwa, you are muted.
Someone is calling.
To add on that,
I'm saying, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm saying that the issue.
Someone is calling him.
Panisha.
Yeah, I'm saying actually the issue of I think we should since we have TikTok is a world of its own, and since we have a TikTok president, that is in Nyako. I think she knows well what is happening in the TikTok world. I think we should have a direct representative, like she should be a direct representative of the issues pertaining or issues arising in this platform. Since she's an elected president by the people in Kenya. I think while these amendments and laws have been made, I think you, Waheshimiwa, should take the opportunity or to take the fact that she should be amongst the lawmakers, or she should be talking on behalf of us. And to Masaki, I think in social media, and to be precise, TikTok, if you have observed, most of the youth on TikTok have this as their income. So this issue of taxing it, I think it will be a very big blow. I guess if the government could tax the TikTok itself as a company, not the creators.
Thank you.
That is an order,
Thank you.
Punisher. Chief of Staff also gave me a chance to address Honorable Babu.
I wanted us to take 2 minutes break, Mheshimiwa kunywe maji kidogo. In the meantime, let's start to 2 million very quick. Then once you resume, Jason, you'll take it. You'll ask Mheshimiwa a question if that's proper. Can we start for 2 minutes? Mheshimiwa mute apige kamaji hivi ndio arudi. Yeah, guys.
Can somebody drop for Masaki, please?
Everybody.
We have enough space.
There are
We have enough
spaces.
space.